Valentine's Day is about to happen. The day of romance and love and chocolate. And, you know, nothing hits the feels like a good romantic movie, or a good romantic comedy, or even a cheesy romantic comedy. So I'm going to sit here and tell you guys about my favorite romantic movies. And I'm actually going to start off the video by telling you what movies you shouldn't watch on Valentine's Day. The movies that would be the worst idea to watch on Valentine's Day. And I'm going to relate these to movies having to do with relationships or something, because it would be easy to say don't watch Requiem for a Dream for Valentine's Day because you're gonna get scarred, or like Schindler's List or 12 Years a Slave or something like that, because obviously, like, who would do that? Not a smart person. So let's get going with my not to watch list for Valentine's Day. The first one, Fatal Attraction. Don't watch this movie on Valentine's Day. It's a bad idea. It's scary. Man. Glenn Close's performance in that movie. She just, like, if you don't know, Fatal Attraction is about Michael Douglas who has an affair with Glenn Close, and she begins to stalk him, and she kills his family pets and almost kills his wife, and it gets really, really freaky. So that's not one that you'll want to watch on Valentine's Day. The second one not to watch, Blue Valentine. You might think, oh, this movie has Ryan Gosling, it has Michelle Williams, it's called Blue Valentine, it must be really cute and about love. It's not. It's like the most realistic depiction that I've ever seen on screen of two people trying really hard to stay together but just hating each other. And it's uncomfortable to watch. There's a series of scenes where they're in like a sex hotel, and it's just the most uncomfortable thing ever. Ugh, don't watch it with your significant other. Yeah. Of course you never want to watch a movie. Of course I'm paraphrasing this line, but it starts with the line, marriage is like wanting to bash someone's skull in. Talking about Gone Girl. This movie will probably convince you not to get married. So if that's your goal, to do that on Valentine's Day, one, you were very vindictive and you were very rude and mean. It's a really shitty way to send that message to a significant other. Yeah, don't watch it on Valentine's Day with your significant other. Unless, like, you have, like, the healthiest relationship in the world and you can do anything. In that case, good for you. Like, you don't need to be watching my videos. You can sit there and bask in your own glory. Man, teach me how to be you. And the last one not to watch is Shame with Michael Fassbender, which is a very realistic movie about sex addiction. And it's an awkward watch. It's an awkward watch with anyone, but I would imagine it would be a very awkward watch with a significant other. Yeah, it's graphic. It's the director of 12 Years a Slave, so imagine the directing style of 12 Years a Slave to do with sex addiction. Not a great one to watch on Valentine's Day. Okay, now let's get to the good stuff. This is what I suggest that you would watch on Valentine's Day, or my favorites that I would watch on Valentine's Day if I had a girlfriend, which I don't. It's probably because I spend all my time in my room talking about movies with Star Wars and a Batman poster behind me. What am I doing with my life? Anyway, these are my favorite romantic movies. Let's get going. I'll start off with one that maybe not a lot of people who have seen my other videos would expect me to like, but it's Love and Other Drugs, the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and Anne Hathaway. It's a romantic comedy, and the two of them have really good chemistry, and I found it to be funny and touching, and yeah, they had great chemistry, and that's what's really important for a romantic movie beyond anything else. It's just the chemistry between the two people. Yeah, Love and Other Drugs isn't the greatest movie of all time. It's cliche in all the cliche ways, and there's a lot of narrative problems, but I think it's pretty good and probably pretty underrated acting performances from the two leads. An obvious one, When Harry Met Sally. I don't need to say anything. The next one is one that you can watch any day of the year because it's always a good idea to watch this movie. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Filled with romance, heartbreak too. If you don't want to watch a romantic movie with heartbreak, then don't watch any of them because they all have like the same pattern. That's where Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind really divulges from that, because it's the most inventive and creative and like scientifically weird movie ever. It's based on the premise like, if you could actually erase an ex from your memory, would you do it? It's Jim Carrey's character. He's deciding whether or not he actually wants to do that, and he finds, I guess, tiny spoiler alert, he finds throughout his journey, through his mind when this procedure is going on, that he doesn't want to let go of the memories. And it's a really hopeful, like, it's downtrodden, but it's a really hopeful message actually, to say that even though you may resent your ex so much, you still want to hold on to those memories because they're excellent. And I think it's a really like humanly honest thing to say, that no matter how much you might dislike or hate your ex, a person still wants to hold on to those memories. Obviously, I think that you should watch Her. It's my favorite movie of all time. I'll do a review sometime about it because I need to talk about that movie. It's too good. I won't even talk about it anymore because I'm going to do a review later. And the big one probably that I would suggest to you guys is the Before trilogy. If you don't know about the Before trilogy, it's composed of Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight. Yeah, it's basically two people talking on screen like the whole time, and if that sounds boring to you, then let me suggest that this is maybe the set of movies where I've seen the most potent and authentic chemistry between two people on screen. Like, Julie Delpy? She's French. Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke play the two characters in this movie, and they have such good chemistry, it's unbelievable. The premise of the first movie, which is, by the way, my favorite, Before Sunrise, came out in 1995. The premise of that movie is, if you met, like, the love of your life, your soulmate, but you were only allowed to spend one night with them, what would that be like? And it's so interesting because, like, I guess this kind of spoilers again, but, like, there's parts in the movie where Ethan Hawke's character is like, you know, if I choose to not see you again or to marry you, I would say marry you. And in so many other movies, you're like, okay, but these people have only, like, been around each other for a couple of hours. But in that movie, because of the insanely good connection between the actors, it's earned. Like, everything is earned, and they can go to such high heights with the romance of it because the chemistry is so good, especially in that first movie. And that first movie has, like, the most heart-wrenching goodbye ever. And it's not cheesy in any way, it's just real. Like, I've had that goodbye before, and it sucks just as much as they showed in the movie. Before Sunrise is my favorite of them. Before Sunset is also really good. I found it to be a little bit short and a little bit empty. Just a little bit. And Before Midnight is the one that came out in 2013. And that one's also really good. It's kind of like later along when they've been with each other for a while. All of them are fantastic, and the conversations they have, the dialogue is fantastic. It's directed by Richard Linklater, who has a really interesting way about, like, human intimacy with boyhood and whatnot. He relates to human beings in a very interesting way. His films are always really, really grounded in humanity and intimacy. That's something that I really like about Linklater. So those are my favorite romantic movies. Yeah, I haven't seen all the romantic movies, but I've seen a bunch, and those are my favorites, and I really strongly suggest that you check out the Before trilogy, in particular Before Sunrise. If you don't check out the other two, see Before Sunrise, because I think if you're interested in filmmaking, storytelling, or anything at all, I think if you're interested in anything, if you're interested in architecture, if you're interested in carpentry, watch Before Sunrise. No, of course, watch it. It's really, really interesting. I think it's really thought-provoking too, given its really simple and minimalistic setup. If that makes any sense to you, I really strongly suggest that one. Yeah, count on my review for Her sometime in the future, because I've got to talk about it because it's my favorite movie. Yeah, those are my favorites. Comment below, let me know what you think. Tell me your favorite romantic movies. Tell me what you think about the movies that I suggest not to watch on Valentine's Day. I think that I'm pretty confident in saying that I'm right about those ones. But if I'm not, let me know. And happy Valentine's Day. I hope that you have a great time with your significant other if you have one. And if you're like me and completely alone, It gets better. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but that's what people keep telling me.